Hey guys, this is Callum from EnglishShooting and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing with the how to get your firearm certificate or shotgun certificate series. Now we've covered the biggest step you're going to need to take for a firearm certificate, which is becoming a full member of a Home Office approved club or finding a mentor for hunting. And we've also gone through all of the different guns that you can apply for on a firearm certificate and what you're going to need to write down and put down to be able to be successful in obtaining those. But today I'm going to go on to what I think is the next step, which is before filling out your application form. You may have downloaded it and maybe you've even filled it out already. I will be doing a future video going through all the nitty-gritty of exactly how to fill out the application form, but personally I think this is a step before that and something that you should get in place as soon as possible, and that is your references. So for a shotgun certificate you need 1 referee, and for a firearm certificate you need 2 referees. And basically your references are there for the police to talk to get a more impartial view of you. So to ascertain what sort of person you are, what your character's like, and of course if they ask you all of that, you're going to say how great you are, you're going to say how amazing and good character you are, and of course you should give me the firearm certificate or the shotgun certificate. So they just want somebody that obviously knows you well and is going to be impartial and give them a more rounded view of who you are as a person. Now previously you did have to find somebody, I think it was of high moral standard or high standing within the community, and this used to be like company directors, doctors, solicitors, civil servants and the like, but they've actually relaxed that more recently, and it's just basically somebody that has known you for 2 years and is somebody that has good character themselves. So if they have a criminal record as long as your shopping list, probably not the best reference for you, because the police do also need to trust them. Of course, if you know people who are company directors, who are civil servants, or they are of that high standing, solicitors, lawyers, doctors, it is always going to be preferable to go to somebody like that, because the police are going to see, oh, hang on a minute, here's somebody that has known them for 2 years, they're a doctor, they're of very high standing within society, and if they're vouching for them, it just gives them more confidence in your application. But it just has to be somebody that you've known for 2 years. There are some exclusions. So pretty much anyone involved within the police force, they can't be your referee, because there could be some conflict of interest. There, somebody may be doing a mate a favour, pulling a few strings, that sort of thing. And it also can't be a registered firearms dealer. Now, an RFD is the named RFD because you do get servants of RFDs, but they're not actually named on the register. So if they're a servant of an RFD, they could still be your reference. If they are the actual named RFD on the RFD register, then they can't. And again, this is to remove conflict of interest. Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of RFDs out there that would love to get more applications in, more people shooting, and then spending more money in their shops. So it's just to remove that, and again to make sure that the referee and reference is as impartial as they can be. The last exclusion is anybody of your immediate family. Again, they need to be impartial and give as true a representation of you as possible, and somebody that's in your immediate family, again, are going to be a little bit biased. So I'm going to talk about who I've selected, and very thankfully who have agreed to be my references, and again to give you a bit of idea of my way of thinking and why I've selected those people. So the first is a good friend, Alex. Now he does work as a civil servant. I'm not going to talk about his exact role, but he works as a civil servant in a fairly high standing job and respected profession. And for me, that's one of the main reasons, is because of his own character and the work he does. He has a lot of responsibility, and he needs to be of good character and trustworthiness. So the police should be able to trust him. He's also a FAC and SGC holder, so he knows the process. He's already sort of been given the okay by the police. He's already been made aware to the police through his certificates. So again, the police are going to have a more of of a rapport with him. They're going to be able to trust that he knows the consequences of basically refereeing for somebody that isn't suitable. So all round, I think he's a very good example of somebody to go for, somebody, again, that's of high standing and also has an FAC and SGC. I really don't think that's going to hurt. I really do think that's going to be a big benefit. My second referee, because I'm going for a coterminous certificate, which is both your shotgun certificate and firearm certificate require 2 referees, is actually my good friend and business partner, Connor's. So Connor's, again, he's a listed company director, so again, high standing within society. It's not necessary, but again, it shows a level of responsibility and trustworthiness. And of course, he's also a firearm certificate holder. He doesn't actually have an SGC, but the FAC will do for me. Now, I approach both of them, and this is might be something that you need to think about how do you ask someone? Well, it's not like you're asking for the world. It is a little bit of responsibility for them to take that on. But honestly, I just brought it up with them and said, you know, do you mind being my referee, my reference? They took maybe a little bit of persuasion, maybe a little bit more than I would have liked, but they both did agree and they're fine to do that. So as a referee, what's then going to happen? And again, this might be a question that any references or referees that you ask will be concerned about. What do I actually have to do? Are the police going to come around my house? Am I going to get an absolute grilling? Now, for my first applications for an SGC and FAC, on both separate times, neither of my references were ever contacted. And from my experience, from talking to many other people, this is usually the case. You've supplied these names to the police know that they can get in contact with them at any time, but they rarely do. Of course, if there's anything maybe concerning about your application, maybe they have a little bit of doubt, maybe you have a criminal record or history of mental illnesses, which isn't a complete blanket no, but they might just want to get a better understanding of your character and they will start to look deeper. But really, the worst that is going to happen is that your references are either going to be asked to meet with the police and they will come to you, and depending on where they live in the country, this might not be feasible for your local firearms department, so it will most likely be a phone call. They do have to provide a few details, just basic contact details, your address, a little bit about them in terms of their occupation, but nothing too intrusive. And again, they're just going to be asking them about you. How long have you known them? How do you know them? How often do you hang out with them? And of course, what they think of you as a person as well. So again, nothing too intrusive, nothing for your referees or references to be worried about. It's pretty simple and straightforward. And as I've said, it's usually rare that your references are contacted anyway, so it's not a huge amount of effort, and of course it is a requirement for you to get your FAC or SGC, so it's really them doing you a massive bit of help here. So I'd really stress to that, look, it's probably not going to take a lot of your time or a lot of your effort, but it's a really big help for me, and just I'd put it to them like that. So again, to recap on that, it needs to be somebody that you've known for 2 years, can't be anyone within the police, can't be an RFD, can't be anybody of your immediate family, and I would say go for the best character reference that you can get. So the best referee in terms of them potentially being a doctor, solicitor, company director, so on and so forth. But again, a good friend that you've perhaps known from school, they might just work, you know, standard 9-to-5 job, might not be, let's say, anything special within the community or of any particular high standing, but as long as they're a good person, have a criminal record and can be perceived as trustworthy by the police, they will do just fine. So there we go, guys. Really nothing to it. It's really simple, but I would start looking for your referees as soon as possible. It can be something that can end up holding it up. Again, you need to get them to fill out the forms or to get the details from them. So that's something that is sort of out of your hands. So get that done as quickly as possible to avoid any holdups with your application. The next video, I will be going through the filling out of the firearm certificate. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you'll see when that video comes up. And if you want to hit that bell notification icon next to the subscribe button. You'll get a notification when that video comes out. But I really hope you've enjoyed this one and found it informative and interesting. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. And as always, guys, I hope to see you soon.